Okay guys, today we are going to talk about inside, outside, and inscribed angles, which we talked about yesterday, but this is for you guys who weren't here, or maybe you have no idea what's happening in your life. Okay, so you're going to need two things. You're going to need the paper that we started yesterday, and you're going to need the formula chart that we completed yesterday in class. That should look like that. Okay, now mine's pretty because it has colors, and you can add colors to yours if you want, but you need to have both of these things on your desk. So we are going to start by doing number 9. Now I've already written the formula that we're going to use on here, but if you're wondering how did you get that? Well, okay, do you see this right here? That's called the vertex, right there. That's the vertex, okay? And the vertex is on the circle. So if I look at my handy dandy formula chart, on the circle, that means I'm using this guy right here. And notice I wrote it at the top of my paper. You need to do that too, okay? You need to write it at the top of your paper. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look and I'm going to say, okay, where is the question mark pointing to? Guys, that is pointing directly at the angle. Well, when I don't know something in math class and that's what I'm looking for, I call that x. So in my formula, I'm going to go ahead and say the measure of the angle is x, and I'm going to finish writing everything down. Now it tells me that the measure of the arc right here is 90 degrees. And now all I do is some algebra. I'm going to divide both sides by 2, which means x is equal to 45 degrees because we found the measure of an angle, and that's my answer. Okay, so let's do another one. Again, you need to have this formula chart on your desk. So I'm looking at number 11 now, and the first thing I'm going to ask myself is, where is that vertex? Guys, the vertex is inside the circle. It's not at the center, it is inside. So I'm going to look at my formula chart. Wha-bam. It is inside. I'm looking at this guy right here, and notice I already have that written at the top of my paper. You should too. If you haven't done that, write it now. Okay, so I'm looking, I'm saying, okay, where is this question mark? Guys, the question mark is right here. That is the measure of the big arc. That means that's what I'm looking for. In math class, we call that x. So I'm going to finish and fill in the rest of this stuff. The measure of the little arc, well, that's 64. And the measure of the angle, well, that's 82. So I'm going to have 2 times 82. Okay, so this is where the calculator comes in. 2 times 82 is 164, and that's equal to x plus 64. I'm trying to get x by itself, so I'm adding 64. I'm going to do the opposite operation, that's subtraction. So minus 64 on both sides. 164 minus 64, well guys, that's 100. And that's equal to x. And since we did find the measure of an arc, guys, that's degrees. You need to make sure you put your units, and that's my answer. All right, the last one we're going to go over is number 18, and I'm going to start it the same way I started the other two problems. I'm going to ask myself, where is the vertex? Well, guys, that's right there. That's where the vertex is. That is outside of the circle. So I'm going to look, well, outside the circle, that means I'm using this formula right here. Notice, I write it at the top of my paper. I do this every single time. The next thing I'm going to ask myself is, where is the question mark? What am I looking for? Well, that's the large arc, the big arc. So I'm going to call that x. And then I'm going to go about filling in the other information. So 2 times the angle, which is 40, is equal to x minus the little arc, which is 75. All right, 2 times 40, well, that's 80, is equal to x minus 75. So I'm subtracting 75. I'm going to do the opposite operation, which is addition. So I'm going to add 75 to both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to get 155 degrees as my answer. Okay, I hope this helped out. You're going to finish the rest of this worksheet. If you still have questions after watching this video, you are going to raise your hand and you're going to ask either me or Mr. Weinbrenner.